All right, everybody, welcome back to a very long-awaited Indie Fanatics podcast. We're actually video streaming this shit on StreamYard as well. But I had taken a hiatus, and I've moved into a new building, as you can see on the flyers behind me. Moved into a new building, and how nice to have Biss as my first interview back.
Like old times, man.
Yeah,
Like old times.
and it's funny because I tell people that you actually give me credit. Because a lot of people don't. But like you tell people, like, I was a fan, and then Stan asked and said, "Hey, you want to interview these people?" And you were like, "Fuck yeah, I'll interview these people," because you knew what the fuck to ask them, unlike me.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like whenever somebody new is like starting to interview people or doing podcasts and that, and they ask me if they could do something, it always like kind of tugs at my heartstrings, and I always tell them that story. I was like, yeah, man, like how can I tell anyone no? Like oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that publicly, right? Because now I'm gonna get flooded with it. But like, how can I tell someone no, they can't do that? Like that's literally how I got my foot in the door. Like, and I'll tell them thanks to you. Like if you hadn't given me that chance to call in and talk about results or interview guys when we were on the road, like I never would have gotten the chance to have my foot in the door like that. So I'm always thankful. Thank you very much. Like without
Wrestling Nova and some of the Wrestling Taco down in San Antonio, all of these guys are doing. That was my whole plan all along. We just didn't have the equipment and the ability to do it. We didn't have a cell phone that could record 4K TV.
No,
we didn't have Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, all of this stuff where you could immediately upload that stuff and get instant acknowledgement right away from those social media sites. We had, I want to say, MySpace was just coming around when we were all out doing what we were doing.
Yeah, MySpace was the big thing. Twitter. So when I started the Biss report, Twitter was like this brand new thing, right? Because I remember someone was like, "Oh, if you're going to do a podcast, you should start up a Twitter." I'm like, "What the fuck's a Twitter?" Right? Like,
right.
So yeah, we didn't have any of those same tools to like this. Like, can you imagine like something like StreamYard where me and you, we don't have to be in the same room to be on camera? Like,
and Knight, when I had him on last year or whatever it was, he said the same thing. He says, "Can you imagine? We live streamed an entire wrestling event just using cell phones."
Yeah.
He's like, "Man, that took," because we were talking about how we used to record, even when I brought equipment from the TV studio, which you asked about, this week.
Yeah.
It was on, right. It was on mini DV. If you were taking it and transferring it from that tape to like a computer or something to edit it, if it was a 30-minute match, you had to wait the entire 30 minutes. It wasn't download the whole thing and then move on. And so what these people have nowadays is absolutely insane.
Yeah, like we would go and do the like radio style commentary. Remember?
Yes, yes.
And like that was, we had to have a hard line. I feel like I don't think that was Wi-Fi, right? Like
I don't think so either.
We had like plug into local internet and then set up a soundboard and like condense everything to stream it. Like,
yeah. It was crazy, dude. It was crazy. And I was telling the guys, because I'm helping out AAPW with their Buckle Bomb podcasts. And I'm like, dude, the stuff that I bring up here for you guys to use, when I first started, I had a $20 Radio Shack 4 microphone mixer with these dynamic mics that caught all the audio from everywhere else in the house except for where you were recording from.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to use. And now, I mean, we have these technically radio quality microphones and headphones and mixer boards and 4K video. And I'm like, this is insane, dude.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I obviously don't right now. You see me with the like gaming headset, like old days, but like, I could have a like radio quality microphone here and in fairly short order, right?
Right.
And like back then, that was like, you were saving up all year to fucking update to that, right? So,
yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But speaking of that, uploading a bunch of video, I think I got like 22 hours a video April 2nd at the WrestleMania weekend, which was that was my first WrestleMania weekend. Had you done one of those before?
I had done WrestleMania weekends before, quite a few of them actually, because they're great networking opportunities. Everybody that's involved in wrestling, I don't want to say everybody, but there's so many people that you can network and meet and just have that connection. I've always really, if it's in Dallas or New Orleans, I think I've done one in Florida. If you have the chance to do it, you're going to meet so many people that can help you later on down the road. I met Thunder Rosa at the Dallas one in 2016, and then she became a huge part of our company. So I've always, if I had a chance, tried to make it. Like, it's crazy how much is going on that weekend as far as wrestling.
And how many shows throughout the entire city? Because I mean, it was in Arlington, but I mean, there was stuff everywhere. Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington, Bedford. They were everywhere.
So I think New York was the peak, and I think that was over 100 shows in a weekend.
Damn.
I want to say there was like 70 something shows when you count everything.
Right.
Like, people don't understand Texas, right? So I'm fairly close with the people at Voices of Wrestling. So if you see Inspire News at Voices of Wrestling, it's probably because I leaked it directly to them.
Right.
But, like, they were reporting like the Amarillo shows as part of the weekend, and I was like, hey dude, just so you know, like, Des Moines, Iowa is closer to you in Chicago than Amarillo is to the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Right.
Like y'all gotta be careful what you're including in these numbers. But I think it
lot
was
of
over
people
70 shows.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how big Texas is since most people have never been here. But yeah, and I stayed over at the Knights of Columbus. I would say for every show that they had, except for I went to Lucha Brutal in Fort Worth. I think that was Sunday.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
And the cool thing about that is, like, usually the local shows have to like either run their own thing or tack on to like somebody that's a nationwide company that's running something and like open up for them. That was really cool for us because that was just all the Texas people going, nope, we're gonna get this building, we're gonna put our shows on. I mean, God bless Lamont from VIP, like having like, all right, man, like it was a fight because it's like, hey man, you got to be done. I was like, no man, I got to have so many minutes for this main event. Like, I'm gonna be fighting you from like running in the ring and calling my show off,
Right.
That wasn't easy for him to do. So hats off to him for that. But to have all the Texas people in one building and just be like, all right, this is us, here we are, come see what we are,
Right. And I think a lot of people did. There were people at the Knights of Columbus that I know watched them a show, walked out, sat out front, next show opened up, paid at the door, came back in for every show on both days.
Yeah. As a promoter, I'm not supposed to tell you this. I lost my ass that weekend.
Right.
But like, there was a method to the madness, right?
Right.
So yeah, did we go kind of crazy with who we brought in? Sure. Were we out of our market? Sure. But we had I think it was, the final number was like 134 or something like that. And go ahead, the show's on YouTube. Go count the heads. Like, I'm not giving you some promoter bullshit where I'm like, oh yeah, man, we put 400 people in there.
Right.
We sold 132 or 34 tickets, something like that. Just over 130. Like,
but wasn't your show during Mania?
Yeah, up against Mania, like,
yeah.
Against Mania, against Steve Austin. Like, I mean, for that, I'm happy. Like, would have I loved to gone in and made $1 million, like sold fucking 500 tickets and like come home with money? Sure, but like that's not really what the weekend was about. The weekend was about putting ourselves out there on that stage and seeing how we compared with everybody else. And to that extent, I was happy. I thought that our show, hung in there with everybody else. I'm not gonna be like, hey, we're number one, because of course I'm gonna think my show's the best, right? but we could have gotten in there and fell flat on our face, and I thought that we represented ourselves well. The boys busted their fucking asses. the outside talent that we brought in. You know, you could bring a guy in that's wrestled fucking 15 matches, and on your show he kind of takes the night off. I thought everybody fucking worked hard and put their best foot forward. So that's all that I can really hope for out of that weekend, first time out, right?
Right. And there were some of those people wrestled 4-5 shows in a single night. It was, or a day. It was absolutely insane. Because like I said, I stayed at the Knights of Columbus and hung out there almost the whole time. And then all of a sudden, you know, I see this person, and then I see a good one is Rachel Rose. You know, I saw her on this show, and then she was on the next show, and then she skipped one show, but then she was on that show, and then Sunday she was on 3 shows that day. And it's like, holy shit, dude, she's fucking everywhere. You know,
and she was going to other venues too and working shows. You know, so
right.
she put in her time. Brian Keith was all over the place.
Yes.
You know, he was kind of a guy that I'd check in with every couple shows. Hey man, you still healthy? You doing all right? What do we got? You know, do we need to do anything? You know, yeah.
Yep. And did you see anybody that you had never seen before that you went, whoa, man, I need to keep an eye on this guy or girl, whichever?
Yeah, God. Who
I love putting people on. I love putting people on the spots.
like we talked about before you hit record. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but it feels like it was fucking, you know, 3 years ago.
Right.
Because I'm gonna fuck up her name. Rachel Chanel, is that
dude
her name?
Yes, I just saw her at I saw her there obviously a couple of times. I saw her with Maddie Watkowski in Mission Pro, and at first, the first time I saw her, I was like, oh, it's one of those gimmick things, you know, I'm bougie, you know. And then I got to watch her and I'm going, oh no, she knows what she's doing. She's, you know what I mean? So I was impressed when I got to see her at Inspire this last weekend in Conroe.
Mission Pro.
I'm sorry.
I don't know what, and don't let me steal Thunder Rose's.
You know what's funny though is every time I bring up that Conroe show, I always say Inspire. 100% of the time. I have no idea why.
I'll take the pub.
Dude,
those guys put on a great show, so I'll definitely take the pub.
I was surprised. Well, I don't want to say surprised. I just didn't know what to expect. I think that was my first Mission Pro show that I've ever been to. And I was just like, holy shit, look at all these people and look how into it they are.
Yeah.
They really liked that showdown in Conroe.
And that was the main thing I took away from the match that I saw her in, was that it was like, okay, what I noticed, like I'd seen the gimmick on, because she's been on TV with that gimmick. So I'd seen the gimmick on TV. We had her when she was doing like a softball gimmick or a baseball gimmick at one point.
Okay.
And we had her teaming, I think, with Thunder Rosa for that. But like the little girls in the crowd were super connected to that gimmick, where it was one of those things where it's like, okay, this is not for me, but for them, they are connecting to this. They understand what she is getting across here. And I was super impressed with how they responded when she came out, you know, and then how much they were into like the it was gimmick stuff, but the gimmick spots that she was doing, they picked up on it and they were like, they got it.
Right.
And that, like, I'm getting old, you know, I'm getting old. So I have to admit, sometimes I'm like, I don't understand what this is or why this is over, but this is over. And this is connecting the people. So.
You know, and that's probably going to be both of our problems with this this social media shit that's going on, is because I always laugh and say that I could post a video using all the same hashtags and get 32 views in a month. And yet I posted a video. Well, actually, I liked the audio of, you don't know how big a hole you would leave in the world if you left today, and blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on. But I couldn't put that to some guy getting hit in the face with a chair, you know? Yeah. So I found a video on my phone from when I went to New York. And so I just put it over that video of us taking off from an airplane. 30,000 views. with no hashtags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did 30,000 people see this? And there's like 375 likes and there's, 75 comments. And I'm going, what in the world? So there's so much out there as the older generation that it can get hard to figure all that out.
Yeah. Well, and you never know what's gonna like speak to people, right? So and like there's like a wrestling bubble, right? So
Right. Definitely.
and I hear, and it's hard because like we promote strongly on Facebook and Twitter, and I can like hear Dusty like yelling at me now, but like that's where a lot of the niche fans are that are gonna come to my shows. But like that's not the entire world, right? Like especially Twitter. Like you can really get in the Twitter bubble and think like that's everything. No, that's like a small percent. There's a large, most people out in the world don't even have a fucking Twitter, so they don't know what you're
Right.
talking about, right?
And they came to Twitter so late that when I try and find them so that I can tag them in a video, they've got such an obscure screen name. I'm going, well, how the fuck did you come up with that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I luckily, as the new, with the exception of TikTok, and according to Gary V, if you're not using TikTok, you're not gonna make it in this world.
Fuck.
So
I better figure it out, I guess.
Yeah, he talks about TikTok all the time, and but anyways, yeah. So I was lucky enough as people came up because I actually remember the posts on MySpace saying, "Hey, go look at this Facebook thing; it's about to take off." I remember those posts.
Yeah.
And so I went over, I created the Stan Callahan and went back to MySpace, left it alone. Same thing with Twitter, went over the Stan Callahan, came back. That's, or Indie Fanatics, I guess is what it is over there now. But anyways, and so, yeah, we definitely got to stay on top of this and get all this stuff figured out. So anybody else at Mania weekend? Cause my thing is, and I don't lie to anybody. I tell them the honest truth. My attention span is so bad that, like, if I'm watching a video of, we'll say, Rachel Rose, the first commercial that starts, I'm out on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience or the time to well, I have the time, but the patience, and my attention span is so short. And because I was telling, I saw Khan at RCW. I'd never seen him until Mania weekend.
Oh, man, he's awesome,
dude. He's so badass.
He's a badass. He got signed that weekend too.
Right.
Like I told Max, I was like, you are lucky he got signed, because I would have been pushing for this guy on everything,
Right. And he's such a badass in the ring. Love watching him. Like I said, I don't know why I was sleeping as far as it goes with Rachel Rose. I had never seen her before. I think I had heard the name, but then I saw her all of those times in Mania weekend, and I was like, holy shit, how did I miss this? Which goes back to what I'm doing now, where I'm off Sunday, Mondays from my regular place. So I try every Sunday to go to a show that I don't normally go to.
Yeah. Rachel Rose is one of those that just does all the little things,
Right.
The stuff that she needs to improve on is the stuff that you can learn,
Right. Right.
Which for a lot of guys, it's like the stuff they need to improve on is like the stuff that's hard to teach.
Right.
It's like everything's there. I would be shocked if she's not on TV and,
right,
all that fun stuff that happens now.
Right. And then my other fun part, because people were like, oh my God, I was so exhausted Mania weekend. And I was. Saturday, I think we got done at 2:30, 3 o'clock, went to the hotel, went to sleep, got up because on Sunday, the all-woman show was on at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So I got up at 8, and actually I got up at 7 so I could be over at the building by 8 and say hi to everybody. And then I stayed there until 4:30 in the morning.
Wait, what time does it start at, like 9, right?
Yeah.
So I think I woke up at like 8:30.
Yeah.
Put through all my shit in my bag.
Yeah. Because you left right after. Yeah. But then I stayed until 4:30 in the morning after Barrett Brown and Suzuki, and I was like, Jesus, man. Everybody's like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And I'm like, and I would do it every weekend. I would absolutely love that kind of shit all weekend long.
Yeah,
That's
it
go
was
ahead.
crazy, but it was a fun, like, I'm gonna repeat the word, but it was like a bubble, right? Like
Yeah,
the the Mania weekend bubble, just to be like in that. And like, I mean, hell, as a promoter, it it was intense, but at the same time, like, okay, so and so's not going to be able to make it. Something came up. Well, holy shit, the entire wrestling world's here. Who do I
right,
want? Like,
right,
it was like, okay, here I have to move because they may be getting booked somewhere else. But like, here's the first 5 people we can go to. Let's see if we can get any of them. You
right.
know?
Yeah, and it was crazy. And then the wrestling with unicorns guys was there the whole weekend. You know, and I actually that's the first time I had ever met them was there, and then um, Lance Romance brought him into Smash Mouth um, out in Will's Point. A couple of 2-3 weeks afterwards, and yeah. But another one, I had heard the name and hadn't seen Janai Kai.
Yeah, she's
Holy
awesome.
crap, dude!
So I wanted her on our show, but she was actually booked already for our time slot when I tried to get her. The match going on behind me right now, she was originally booked in Jordan Blade's spot.
Oh, really?
But like, both of them are from DC, so it was sort of like a 50-50. But I started with Kai, and she was booked up at that time. So yeah, I'm very high on her. I think that she has a lot of promise.
And then to wrap this all up, the other part that I loved about it was getting to see the people that I had only heard about. Lufisto, Willow Nightingale, all of those people that the Shimmer people and all of that. I'm just like, I was standing there and just going, man, look at all these people. You know what I mean? And then the death match guys that shot. I wish I could remember the one kid's name because Raddick.
Oh, Cole Riddick.
Riddick, yeah, yeah.
He is sort of a NASCAR gimmick.
He came out in just black tights and trunk,
Oh,
or
okay.
yeah. But he, man,
Yeah, that
he
was
came
probably
in.
Cole.
He had it was Cole. He had his chest all taped up, and of course they chopped enough that the tape came off, and it all opened back up again. But it's funny because you get like I said, you get to see the like, especially like with wrestling with unicorns, you get to see these 8-second clips and the 30-second clips of these guys, and you're like, holy shit. And then you get to see all of these guys, like I said, at Mania weekend. How can I and now that I'm about to try to talk about him, I'm going to forget his name. Kevin. Oh well, I can't think of his name now.
Give me a gimmick.
No, he's in AEW now. Left WWE, went to AEW. Well, I'm sorry. That's everybody. Dude, it's gonna sound so bad saying it like this. Mia Yim is his wife.
Oh, Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. I don't know. It's funny because I keep seeing in my timeline when it comes up of Kevin Payne. when, but Keith Lee showed up, and it's funny because some of the students from AAPW were there. And when that building erupted, I looked at him and said, now, do you see the difference between a pop and a pop?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you see the difference? And then the entire building started chanting, bask in his glory. And I'm like, and then the same thing, I look at him and go, do you see this? This is totally different than what you're used to seeing. This is the real deal. And getting to see him back again was fucking awesome. Yeah, I sat down and literally had a non-wrestling conversation with Jimmy Wang Yang and his daughter. You know what I mean?
Jimmy was cool as fuck, man.
Yeah. Now the conversation was, I said something about how do you like Texas or something like that, and the only thing she could tell me was, well, you guys, y'all. How did she say it? All I know is y'all, all of you have guns. And I was like, okay, yeah, okay, and then it just went from there. But they were so cool to just, sit out there and just talk with and have a normal everyday conversation that wasn't wrestling. It was nice. So, All right, let's talk about this Inspire show on June 2nd.
June 2nd, the first ever Inspire TV taping, which is part of the reason I was asking about,
All
TV
the
quality cameras,
right,
all the stuff that goes along with that. We're like, oh, yeah, I got to make sure this is covered.
right.
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of pinballs. We used to go all the time when people were in town just to go, hang out. And of course, now the Lake Creek building, they've taken over pretty much the majority of that strip mall. So people are asking, like, where is this? Are you guys going to put this on the go-kart track, or where is it going to be? The party rooms, actually, the walls are temporary, so you can take down
you can open them,
2 of the walls, and then you have 4 party rooms worth of space. So the max cap in there is 200. You can fit 200 people in there with a wrestling ring. So, but then we have, we're going to have a table for commentary, and we're going to have to make room for the sound system and all that. So we're selling 150 tickets, and that's a hard cutoff. So if we sell 150 pre-sales, we won't have walk-ups, right?
Gotcha.
If we get in there and it doesn't take up 50 people worth of space for the sound system, and that we may be able to open up more walk-ups day of show. But a lot of times people are get your seat now. It's a promotional tactic. Literally, that's as much as I can. I can't put more than that in that room. And it's not like you can, the old school, fucking it's in a barn somewhere and you look from through the door, right?
Right.
If you don't have the ticket, you're not going to be able to get in there. So,
right.
If you're hearing this now and you haven't reserved your ticket and you usually do a walk up, it's going to benefit you to go ahead and do that pre-sale. Trust me, I get more money from you if you pay in cash as a walk up versus the pre-sale. But I just to give people the heads up, that pre-sale is going to save you, because it is going to be first come, first serve. We don't have reserve front row.
Right.
If you get there first, you get the first shot at the best seats in the house, right? Outside of there's a few folks that were reserving seats because they need to have seats. But outside of that, it's going to be first come, first serve.
How long has it been since Inspire's done a show in Austin?
Well, it's a weird, in December of 2021, we did a free show at Yellow Jacket.
Oh yeah, right.
But a ticketed show would have been January of 2020, and then the whole world crashed.
Yes. So. Yeah. One of the things too I want to say that this is probably a much different location than people are used to, and I'm going to say that because you could probably fit 250 people. Well, let me rephrase that. I want to phrase it properly. You are not going to have any trouble finding parking for 250 cars in this parking lot.
No, not at all.
This, if you decide, because a lot of times people think, oh man, I'd love to go, but man, I'm going to have to park 9 blocks away and walk through this. And dude, this parking lot is huge. Yeah. I mean, it has the movie theater still on that front end, right?
Yep, it's still there.
And where, like what you're saying, that they took the space of 6 units there inside this mall. So this is a huge mall or strip mall, whatever. And so you're definitely not going to have problems with parking whatsoever.
Yeah, parking's going to be great. They're going to do some food specials that I'm not aware of yet, but there's food in the building. There's a whiskey bar and a normal bar. A lot of the stuff that we've run into issues with are totally taken care of. And the cool thing is this building is really supporting us. It's the first time we've ever had our tickets put on a venue's website before. The venue's putting us on their social media. The venue's allowing us to put posters up in the venue. It's just the most support we've ever gotten from a venue. They're really excited to have wrestling. We kind of fit with what they do. We're nerdy as fuck, and they're an arcade. We really kind of fit with what they do.
The one that's over close to Burnett Road, I've been to, a handful of times, and I fucking love going to that place.
Yeah.
And then the one, they still have the one in Buda, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's still down there too.
Down there, they had fucking paintball and bumper cars and all this shit. The one at Lakeline has, I've never been in it, but I see the sign with the go-kart racing and all this other shit, dude. They have a hell of a venue in all three places.
Yeah. And like it's really cool. You know, we were searching for a place to run, and they couldn't offer us a weekend spot, right? Because
Right.
that place is jam-packed on the weekends. But that's sort of how Sunday wrestling started in Austin, right? Is a lot of the music venues didn't have stuff for Sundays, and various, the most successful was ACW at Mohawk, right? But
Right.
for a while there, it was like, okay, music venues were trying to pull in wrestling on Sundays. So hey, maybe this becomes a thing. Maybe wrestling on Thursdays becomes a thing. So the other cool thing is it is a TV taping. I don't think we've announced the actual like how it's going to be TV.
Right.
But I'll
So
fuck it up.
let's play this game because I
Yeah.
don't want you to say it out loud, because a lot of people go, "Hey man, we're going to be taping for TV," and then they tape it and you never see it, or some of it gets to a DVD, some of it gets to. So is this going to be? Is your TV deal for like a streaming service like Title Match or anything like that?
No, it is not.
All right. Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
dude, those guys are making, again, let's go back to me.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go back to me. It comes up on my Facebook, and I think it came up in the last week or so, where it says, "Hey, I'm looking for promoters with footage that, it's called indievod.net. I own the website. I had a website for it. You upload it. People click on the PayPal link because they want to see Biss versus Stan Callahan. It takes them to PayPal. They pay 99 cents. It sends them back. And now they can actually see the video that they were going to watch."
Yep.
No one was interested. Not a single person.
Yeah. Who would want to be known as a $2 wrestler? I think was the quote, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, now look.
$5.99. Like, fuck.
And I'm going, all of these ideas I had way before we had the ability or even the interest to do them.
Yeah.
And Knight talks about it, all the time as well, where, you think about it, when we did Indie Wars Radio, there wasn't a word called podcast.
Yeah.
I used, I said it the other day to somebody and they were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, Blog Talk Radio."
Yeah.
I used Blog Talk Radio because I could do it live for 2 hours, and it gave me an 800 number so that people could call into the show.
Yeah. And like, here, spoiler alert, like those Voices of Wrestling guys that are like huge now, they have one of the most successful Patreons in like independent wrestling podcast. They started on Blog Talk Radio. They like Rich Craich was in fucking the Indie Wars chat room. Like he was in my chat room. Like he was Chicago Sports something. If you remember that guy, that was Rich Craich from fucking Voices of Wrestling. Like,
right.
And
I've looked at their website and they're very proud of it because they don't hide their numbers.
Yeah.
And so I go over sometimes and go, let me look at, because I have a Patreon, and let me click on this thing. I'll show you. See that Patreon? But it's so hard to get people to come over to something like that because so much stuff is for free now on the internet.
Yeah.
And so, because like what we're doing now, this is probably what my plan is, to do something super, super cheap per month. And the video part that we're recording will go onto the Patreon site, and the audio will go to the podcast.
Yeah. And I mean, Patreon's hard too. God, I can't think of his name. I haven't been hit in the head enough to be as brain damaged as him.
Well, maybe it's not the hit in the head; it's the hitting on something else that got you brain
damage. So they WrestleNomics.
Okay.
Oh God, why can I not think of his name? I listen like weekly, but they break down like, okay, here's every Patreon that has wrestling in the description. All right, and like 80% of them have like 2 to 5 followers, right?
Right.
And then like it's that, and then from there it's like another 15% have 10 or more followers, right? Or between 10 and 20 followers or something like that, right?
Right.
It's that very like top 5% that are soaking in everybody. So Yeah, the guys at the top have like crazy numbers, and they have 1,000 people paying them $10 a month or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get up into that top 10%, and some of it is I mean, Danhausen has like one of the top Patreons, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's just
didn't
like
didn't Danhausen come here with somebody way before he was Danhausen?
Yep. Well, Donovan Danhausen was blue chipper. Donovan Danhausen drove down from Michigan with Angela's Lang for
that's the weekend that she came and she did a photo shoot in the studio there, and then and he sat there just fucking around on his phone the whole time, and so which
now
goes back to what me and
you, there is, right?
And that's one of the things I keep talking about, like with you. Think about all the people that you interviewed while I was videotaping and where those people are today.
Yeah.
Claudio.
I knew, though. I knew.
Yeah. That's why you were doing it?
Yeah. I was like, oh, man, he's got all these people that are going to be on TV one day. Let me jump in on this.
And that and I can't find it. The day I do, I'm going to be super excited. I don't know where it went and how I lost it, but the D'Lo Brown interview.
Yeah.
They
held that against me for a while. Remember
who
that?
Did?
When all that drama went down, Haz was like, well, we let you interview
D'Lo Brown. Yeah. Yep, I remember all. Now he's the romping, stomping 60-year-old champion.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love Haz to death, but
yeah,
it's history. It is what it is, right?
Yep. And then so back to your June 2nd show at Pinball's Lake Creek.
I guess I should promote the shit out of that, right?
Well, hold on a second. We're going to sidetrack for the 90th time because I was talking to Billy Starks at the Mission Pro show. I'm like, I would really love to get you on the show, which is stupid to say because you do a podcast, you want everyone on the show.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to her. She's like, well, right now I'm busy with this and I'm sidetracked with this and I'm not home very much because of this and this other thing. I'm like, you realize this isn't like Joe Rogan kind of podcast, right? And she just looks at me. I'm like we get sidetracked. I interview people while they're grocery shopping, Luke Hawks. While they're working out at the gym, while they're mowing their yard. This isn't like, hey, let's do this thing. This is like the off the rails kind of podcast that we do here. We don't have a sheet of paper telling us what to talk about. I'll ask you 3 times the same question because I forgot that I asked you 30 minutes ago. That's what Indie Fanatics podcast is. We just kind of contact somebody and we just go from there,
Yeah. And I mean, you asked for people that I hadn't seen live before. That impressed me. Yeah. Billy, like that match, that was the match, right?
Yeah.
Billy's awesome. Like still hasn't graduated high school yet, but like,
oh, really?
Talented. Yeah. Like, yeah, she's, I don't think she's quite 18 yet.
Yeah. What's funny about her though? When I saw her at, Mission Pro, every time she walked up to everybody, she would shake somebody's hand, fans, us, everybody. She was like, hey, I'm Bill. I'm like, how do you call yourself Bill? I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Big match Bill, man.
Yeah. And it's funny because I that's what I tell people. I like to, and they probably think, why is this guy, I like to sit back and, sort of like wrestling is the little things. I like to sit back and watch the little things. How do they introduce themselves to each other? You know what I mean? And it's pretty cool. So that's the end of that. So let's go back to June 2nd. Let's go over some of this card.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess the best place to start is the match that kind of bore out of the WrestleMania weekend. And that's Prince Adam, Steve-O, and Bedlam. We're going to put them all in the ring at the same time and let them kind of figure out what they need to figure out.
Right.
You kind of saw that story throughout the entire WrestleMania show, with Bedlam getting involved in Adam's match and Adam getting involved in Steve and Bedlam and the big brawl afterwards.
Right.
We're going to kind of throw everybody in the ring in a 3-way and let the chips fall where they may.
So where'd this Bedlam guy come from?
Man, Johnny Bedlam I think he started off with Booker T. He's from San Antonio, spent some time at Booker T's school, graduated from Booker T's, and came back to San Antonio. I did a lot of stuff with heavy metal. Really good talker. We
Nice.
talk about talking people into a building, like, people talk about it, but I think Bedlam is one of those guys that actually has the skills to be able to do it. Yeah, there's 1,000,001 physical specimens out there, right? There's not that many people that are good talkers. Like,
right.
One of my favorite guys and one of my, personal favorite people is Eddie Kingston, and Eddie's got just that, whatever he's talking about. He could be talking about, like buying butter at the grocery store. Just has that whatever to captivate you and make you interested. I think
he can put it the hell over, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
yeah.
I think Johnny's got some of the same talents, so
nice.
And then, Prince Adam, of course, student at AAPW, got kind of the ACH finishing touch while he was doing that.
Right.
And it's just kind of a heart and soul type guy, So, he's got a lot of fight to him. He's the smallest dog in the fight, so he's got to be scrappy. Right. And then everyone knows Steve-O, man. Like, what really needs to be said about Steve-O?
He's one of the, I don't know if he's the head trainer, but I know for sure that he comes up here and he helps train these kids at AAPW. So,
and for years, like, and not to start shit or anything, but like hasn't really been tabbed as like the head trainer, but right. It's consistently been the guy that goes up there and makes sure he's working with the young guys, make sure he's helping people get better. Like, I don't think he's really searched for that credit, but has never really gotten that credit of being that guy.
Right. Right.
I'll continue on.
Yes, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm a little rusty, man. I got.
It's been a few years since the Biss report, huh?
Brian Keith in Exodus Prime is, Exodus Prime is a super talented guy from DFW. He's starting to get himself out there. He's a guy that I think just needs some mentorship as far as like how to like approach getting himself out there. And, like everyone says like, hey, you got to travel and you got to get out of your city, but like, how do you do it? Right.
Right.
Like, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. But he's super talented. He just needs to get seen by the right people. And wrestling Brian Keith will definitely get you seen these days. So,
right.
I think that they've had 2 matches before, so this will be the 3rd one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to number 1, getting Brian Keith back in front of an Austin crowd, and
nice.
Number 2, getting Exodus Prime in front of an Austin crowd for the first time. Rachel Rose, as you mentioned before, takes on Pistolero. Pistolero is another guy that's kind of a newcomer.
Right. I've seen him a couple of times. Yeah.
Has a lot of promise. So, and Rachel for us is, it's a little different. We have a little different attitude in Austin, right? Like everywhere else, Rachel's kind of like booed, but, I think Austin appreciates kind of a rebel, weird spirit from time to time. So,
right.
She's a little bit, I don't know if I'd call her 100% a baby face. She's not like rah, meat and potatoes baby face, but she's definitely appreciated, her attitude's appreciated a little bit more in Austin.
Nice.
Great Scott versus ASF. I'm very stoked for.
Great Scott's been around for so long.
Yeah, and like, so the cool part there is, he spent that time in Mexico basically training Lucha Libre.
Right.
And ASF from Laredo, training with Daga and just blowing up right now. I'm really pumped to see them kind of go at it and see what they can pull out and really pry into the Great Scott's lucha chops.
Right.
That's how the match actually goes, right?
Yeah.
Then we have some multi-man stuff. Luigi Primo team with the Great Ones to take on the Born Haters. And they killed the business, so I'm really not sure why we're still doing it, but So Luigi was still frustrated, so he's kind of picked up two new guys to take on the Born Haters to see if he can get that win back.
Right.
And it's going to be Phil Noir, who's he's been around in Amarillo. This is kind of a new version of himself. And then Sam Stackhouse. Have you seen Sam Stackhouse before?
I have never seen him in person, but I don't know. He posted a picture or a video of tack titties or something like that.
I promise you we're not going to do Deathmatch Sam, but like, he's probably close to 400 pounds, does a moonsault.
Right.
Just a real, he's like just looks like a fun, jovial type guy. Like I know he's in like a blood feud with Kiefer Bartek right now, but looking forward to getting him involved there. And they're going to take on the Born Haters, and we'll see if Luigi can get that win back.
Right.
And then we have two sort of four-way situations. And the first one, Zach Mason from Fly Def takes on Dmitry Alexandrov, Aaron Mercer, and the returning Void. So if you're a long-term Inspire fan, you know Void. So Void is
the creepiest of burlap sacks.
Oh no, you're thinking of Great Depression. So
yes, yeah, you're right. You're
Void
right.
is all black with a black mask. Usually has some reason for showing up, which is currently not known to us. So I don't know if
he's always there to fill a void, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The very first Void ended up being Mike Dell. He was filling the void of Mike Dell being in Austin Wrestling at the time. So there's always a reason behind Void, so you never know who it might be under the mask. So
right.
That the first show we had, one of the coolest things was Mike Dell was such a beloved character in Austin, and they booed the Void. They did not like the Void. But once he pulled the mask off and was Mike Dell, they went crazy. So
yeah.
And then we have a tornado tag match. I guess I should have mentioned this at the start, but we're doing a thing where all our belts have been vacated, and we're going to crown new champions. So, like some of these matches will be for titles, but the competitors won't know what title it's for until after they win. So after they win, they'll receive the mystery bag with the belt, and they'll be able to pull out the belt and see what belt they've won.
Oh, that's super nice. So I love when people don't know what they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing.
Let's not put it that way.
I'm going to definitely put it that way. You don't know what you're going for, the hardcore championship or the heavyweight championship, and you pull it out, and you're all of a sudden you're like, I have a feeling Masada's in my future.
And there's a Lawless Darkness title that we have that people have some people may want to avoid, and some people may be after, right? So you never know if that's what you're competing for, or if you're competing to be the next in line on the pure prestige lineage that is like Keith Lee to Sammy Guevara to ACH to MJF to Ricky Starks to Effie, like you could be the next in line with that group and put your name with that group. So you never know what you're exactly competing for. But the big thing on this last match is there'll be two bags up for grabs, and it's going to be a tornado tag between Kiefer Bartek and Cam Cole. They used to be known as the Cool. They have not really tagged as much in the last 2 years, but they're coming back together as a team. They were feuding with T-Ray and Ashton Jacobs. So Ashton's not ready to make his return to Inspire yet. So T-Ray will actually tag with one half of Fly Def, Warren G. So there's a lot of different stuff going on in this tag match. Like
a huge, that's crazy.
If the two bags are both the tag titles, and now T-Ray wins the titles with Warren G, what happens with Zach Mason?
Right.
If T-Ray wins the tag titles, he can be, Warren G could be going after him anytime soon.
Right.
If Cam Cole and Kiefer win the tag belts, are they back together as a tag permanently now? Are they ready? Or is Cam more interested in individual goals? Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in this match. It's one of my favorite matches on the card.
Nice. Because where does Kiefer wrestle out of?
Oh, God, he moves around all the time, it seems like. But he is Kiefer is, I believe he's based in Dallas currently.
Okay, cool.
But originally from Amarillo.
And I like that the Fly Deaf guys
Abilene.
are split up.
Abilene. He is originally from Abilene.
Right. I like that the Fly Deaf guys are split up. Again, only because I like to throw. I love the thought of monkey wrenches all the time. You know, because you see Fly Deaf everywhere. They're even in AEW Dark. They're everywhere. Now all of a sudden, like you said, there is a very good possibility that they could be wrestling against each other.
Well, and so here's the deal too. So for my money, I think Fly Deaf is the best tag team in Texas. I think they're one of the best tag teams, in independent wrestling right now.
I would agree with that. I watch them and they're just like they know tag team wrestling.
Yeah. So they have the VIP tag team belts and they have the new Texas tag team belts. At least last I checked. They may have lost them last night, but I don't think that they did.
Right.
But the Inspire tag belts are a little different. Like, number one, they're hard to get together. They're hard to win as a team, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you have them as a team, we'll put those belts up for grabs individually. So you don't always have your partner there. Like, to keep the team together, one member of the team sometimes has to pull their weight to keep that belt, to keep them together as the tag champ. So
right.
It's a very, very hard set of belts for a team to go get together. And then to keep it together is even harder. So, I mean, I know those guys are they want to collect as many tag belts as possible, but this is a little bit different of an animal for them to go after.
Right. Absolutely. I don't know. So you talked about tickets. Where can they get the tickets?
You can get them on our website. It just changed.
Did it really?
I believe it's Inspire AD. Yeah.
Oh, right.
I believe it's Inspire AD now.
But if you go to the Google's machine and type in Inspire Pro Wrestling, it will take you to the right one.
Yeah. You can also go to the Pinball's website and go to their events page, and we are listed there, which is amazing. Hold on, let me look up the website.
Yeah, you look it up. You look that up all you want, because I am super into all of this. Because this is the first time, actually, we did this StreamYard video deal when I first got it with Big Plo and Lance Romance. And of course, Lance was partaking of, it looked like apple juice. It could have been something else.
I'm sure it was apple juice. He's got to stay healthy, right?
Yeah. So yes, he loves his fruits and vegetables. But about 3/4 of the way through, Lance turned into the playa, and
oh man,
I just like, I don't know if the world is ready for an Indie Wars style podcast.
Oh, it needs a top 100 though.
We keep talking about this as well. And when it comes around, I want you to use some of your vacation, because it will be so fun. I think, and maybe they can schedule it around maybe a big show that's going up there, like VIP or something. But Matt Avery, Knight, Lance, some of the other guys have wanted to put together an Indie Wars Radio reunion show. And they're looking for a venue to host it, and we'll all go up there, and we'll all pretty much just fuck around and do a podcast that people aren't used to.
So sorry to cut in. It's inspireafterdark.com.
Gotcha.
So that's the new website. So,
cool. Inspireafterdark.com. But that would be so freaking cool.
Yes.
And then, like I said, if we could make it like on a Saturday, that way we can maybe hit up a show, the whole group of us at the show. Hell, why couldn't we, if we pick a Saturday that has a show, why couldn't we do it at the show? Like, if the show starts at 7, we could go in at 5 and do our our podcast.
Maybe that's a lot to put on a promoter. My promoter brain's thinking now.
Oh yeah, well,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't be in the ring or anything. We would just use the building to get all of us in one place. You know what I mean? We wouldn't. Hell, we'll use the lobby of the building. I don't know if the Knights of Columbus could handle the amount of words coming out of our mouth.
Oh dear.
You know. So, anything else really special going on with Inspire?
No, I think that's all that I'm really ready to disclose currently.
Right.
Let's just say, that first Thursdays are looking exciting as a time slot.
Which is so funny because first Thursdays used to be an event down on South Congress.
Did it?
Yes. The first Thursday was vendors and live music, and all the businesses would stay open till midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And like they'd have this 100-square-foot little boutique that would have some dude in there playing acoustic, so you could stop by and listen. It was actually a pretty cool deal. So
yeah, that has to be where it came from, because like somewhere in my mind was like first Thursdays is cool. And then let's say like a Saturday, maybe like after dark, like 11 to 11:30. If you have one of those digital antennas,
oh yeah, yeah,
you can pick up local channels.
Yeah, yeah,
like that might be a time period to look at too.
Yeah, well, I just cut off my and I don't care, I'll throw them under the bus. DirecTV, Jesus Christ. I work for a subsidiary of DirecTV, and so we were getting DirecTV for $10 a month, and then they sold DirecTV to another company, and those guys immediately went, yeah, all your employees, yeah, they're not our employees, they don't get a discount. It went from $10 a month to $275.
Oh yeah, that's a big jump.
I now have a Fire Stick on the back of my TV. And you know what's funny is because the big bosses like from San Antonio and Dallas would come here, and they're like, guys, when I first started, we have to figure out how to get them to stop cutting the cord. We have to, dude, they're going to kill us. We have to get them to stop cutting the cord. What are your ideas? I immediately raised my hand and said, price. The guy looked me right in my eye and said, we've already done studies that has nothing to do with it. Anybody else? And I was like, holy shit, who do you work for, dude? Yeah. That is dude, it's 100%. Everything is 100% price, especially now during and after the pandemic. But I'm like, holy shit, this guy just looked me right in my face and told me I had no idea what I was talking about. I'm like, that's not true at all. So, yeah.
I complain because of like, I add my stuff up, and I have a ton of streaming shit. Well, I've cut a lot recently, but even like, and I have shit I don't even really need, but like, even that all added up is not that much. So
right. Yeah. And seeing it's funny because like I said, I got the Fire Stick for my TV, and I was looking at them going, well, hell, a lot of the shows that I watched on DirecTV are right here. I don't even care if they're the newest version, you know?
Yeah. You just throw a random episode on. Right?
The first 48 is my favorite show. Yeah. I love that. I don't care if you show episodes from the first season. As long as I get to watch the first 48, I don't care, you know? So yeah, it's strange. And I'm actually I'm surprised because a lot of the local channels are on the streaming devices now.
Nice.
So
that's good.
I'll let you know if
here.
I will let you know if yours is there. So because believe it or not, most of the time that's what we talk about, when we go into people's houses, is that if you have a Roku stick or a Fire Stick or a Apple TV, there's somewhere you're going to be able to see your local channels.
Yeah.
So that'll be good for you guys. Maybe we can make what do they call it? Terrestrial TV popular again.
bring it back, baby. Bring it back.
Yeah. You'll be that show right before the American flag comes on and they play, the Star Spangled Banner, and then the snow pops up.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So cool. I guess give out all your websites and your social medias and how people can contact all of you guys, and let's wrap this thing up.
Well, don't contact me, number one, but
which is true. I usually contact him and get replies 2 days later.
Yeah, that one hurt because it's true. Inspire AD on Twitter, Inspire After Dark, everywhere else. Check out the YouTube. There's a ton of free stuff on our YouTube right now. There'll probably be more free stuff on YouTube going forward. So check that stuff out. It's kind of how we first built our name, and we're kind of building back up. So we want you to see what we're doing. We're not afraid of what we're doing. We think it's good. So YouTube's really where you want to be, and then the website inspireafterdark.com. Look for some new exciting stuff on there. We have a pro wrestling tee shop.
Oh, nice.
So if you go in there, there's a new t-shirt on there that hasn't been announced yet. It's just a new logo on a black t-shirt. But if you're listening to this, go check that out. And then we're hoping to get more stuff up on there as far as t-shirts and stuff. So we know people, especially in Austin, love t-shirts. So that's the gimmick that killed wrestling on my screen right now.
Oh, yes.
Wrestling psychology. So
yes, I see that one.
But yeah, we'll
Is
try.
That where they sat down and talk about their emotions?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Biggest pop of the night and pissed a ton of people off. So
yes, lots of people mad.
Yeah.
No, but they're talking, right?
Yeah. So there. Can you hear my dog in the background? Or
I can.
Can you? Okay. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just playing with the little switcher here. You just keep talking.
I'm good. Yeah. So I told you I'm rusty. Like that's supposed to be my feed to ad lib and just sell more.
No. I'm just trying to. I didn't even think about it until now. But you see both of us on the screen, and when you're doing your dissertation, then I can make it go to where it's just you, so they don't have to see me, and then easily exit you out of that. So yeah.
Switch over.
I'll get used to all of this stuff, and we're gonna make some really cool shit, dude. I have some plans. My biggest problem is I work outside. So when it's 115 degrees and I work out there all day, when I come home, the only thing I want to do is, lay in front of the fan and turn the AC down to 60.
Yep.
It's just miserable, but I've got to get a fire under my ass. Cause honestly, the Indie Wars radio show that me and Big G did, how long did we do that every single Monday?
Every Monday for 3 hours. It ran as long as Raw ran.
Yeah. And we did it for years and years and years.
Yeah.
We had a thing. I would get off of work and me and G would meet at a restaurant since it started at 8. We'd have a Monday dinner wherever the fuck we were at. We'd go back to his place, set all the mics and shit up, and then we would talk for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And we had guests lined up that rarely ever showed. but
yeah. But I mean, that was back when we could get guests too, so
right. Yep.
Now there's a million and one different fucking podcasts. So like, and you got I guess we're kind of goobers too, but you got a bunch of different goobers out there trying to do stuff.
Right.
That aren't respectful and don't really know what they're doing, so.
And one of the things I kept telling G, because he kept saying, he goes, man, there's a lot of podcasts. I'm like, but if you keep doing it, then people are going to go, well, let's go see what Indie Fanatics is doing because this is their 13th year.
Yeah. And like, the cool thing with Indie Wars and Indie Fanatics was it was always regional to Texas.
Right.
So like if you weren't from Texas, you could tune in and kind of get an update of what was going on. I don't really see that with a lot of other places.
Right. They want to jump on the CZWs, the XPWs, the GCWs. They want to, which is funny because I don't know if I said it to you, but I kind of had to, if I want to get views on Instagram, they don't want to see Stan Callahan versus some, you know what I mean? You have to go to a show that's got like the Billy Starks, the Willows, the Kiefer Barteks, the Keith Lees, you know what I mean? You have to go where, but at the same time, as far as the podcast goes, people aren't here and they want to hear, hopefully they want to hear about what's going on here. And why did we bring in Keith Lee? Why did Keith Lee interrupt Shane Taylor's match?
Yeah.
At Mania weekend. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing.
Well, and it's kind of it's weird, but it's sort of the same thing that we have as promoters, right? Or at least we should have, right? Where it's like, okay, it's a delicate mix of okay, building up the local scene, but then bringing in guests, which would be like your coverage of the CZW and that stuff, right? But
Right.
bringing in guests that hook the guy that's never been to a local show, but then he comes. Let's say he comes to see Effie. She, they, them, whoever comes and sees Effie, and now they see a local wrestler that we have, and now all of a sudden, well, I really love Effie, and I got to see Effie, and I got to shake his hand and get a T-shirt. But now I want to see what this wrestler does next, and I can see
Right.
him every week, right? Or I can
Right.
see them every week, right? So
Right. Yeah. Always good shit. So, anyways, as for us indie fanatics, podcast is everywhere that there are podcasts. The Stan Callahan on Facebook and Instagram. There's an Indie Fanatics podcast Facebook group, and on Twitter it is Indie Fanatics. So go check all of our stuff out and spend a bunch of hours looking over. Have you seen all the reels I've been uploading lately?
I do. I
Man.
am on. I'm on all the social media way more than I humanly should be, but like, I'm on there a lot, so I see everything.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, if you got nothing else, I got nothing else. We'll end this first one back from our hiatus, and we will probably see you between now and June 2nd, I hope.
I hope so too, man. It'd be
All right,
great.
cool. We will see you around.
All right, take care, Stan.
All right.